Hello, my lovely, wonderful, beautiful yappers. Welcome back to another episode of The Conversation Club. I'm your host, Kieran, and today we are talking about one of my favorite subjects, being more woo-woo. Being more woo-woo in life, in business, all of the different ways that I have embraced the woo that I would love for you all to be open to embracing with the woo. For those of you that have not listened to episode 13 yet, you will see my hair is curly. It's cute. We are recording this on the same day, so that's why my hair looks the same, and it usually never looks like this. So go tune into episode 13 if you want to hear the reason why my hair looks like this and looks so wonderful, and also why I don't have headphones anymore. For my solo episodes, I don't think I will be using headphones because I want you to see my full beautiful head of hair and my full beautiful face. So for guest episodes, which we will be doing down the line, do not worry. I will be using headphones, obviously, so there's no like reverberation and it's not compromising the audio quality, etc., etc. But no headphones. So here we are. If you aren't watching the video, you can watch it on Apple Podcasts, you can watch it on YouTube. Come see me. Come see my crazy facial expressions and the fucking birds that I flip and, all that, whatever things that I do on this podcast and in real life. So today, because we're talking about the woo-woo, I kind of wanted to dress a little more woo. So this is my beautiful silk robe from my friend Camille. If you are not familiar, Shop a Loom. Loved you. You were such a great shop. It was a very cannabis friendly shop. So as you'll see, there are a little couple weed leaves on the inside. It's a reversible robe. So I think I might wear the weed leaf side when I talk about my cannabis journey a little bit in one of the future episodes. We'll see. But I wanted to show you, I'm wearing I got all my jewelry stolen. So these are all the charms that I have left, non-gold charms. But this is a little moon. I don't know if you can see it on the video, a little moon charm. And then I also have a little moon, sun, and stars ring that I'm wearing. I'm just trying to channel and embrace the woo and just be like, la 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 la, here we are. I am your guide. Let's go. Vamos lá, as we say in Portuguese. So yes, today I want to talk to you about being more woo in your business, how woo has helped me in my business, and how you can incorporate it in yours as well. I want to start off, as usual, by talking a little bit about why I think we should embrace the woo. I think a lot of podcasts, a lot of Instagram content, TikTok content, whatever it is, when we're talking about business, a lot of podcasts talk about the systems, right? The strategies that we can be implementing, the platforms, the tools that we can be using. And they talk about it in a very business focused sense. And if you talk a little bit more about astrology or the woo side or manifestation and intuition and that kind of thing, people start to be like, that doesn't apply to business. It doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to my business. Again, as we're talking about the masculine versus the feminine, the masculine is systems, organization. I mean, I don't know a lot of masculine entities that are that organized, but that's a conversation for another time. I'm not trying to conflate masculine energy with men, actually, honestly, because masculine energy isn't always have to do with men and vice versa, because men are fragile. Sorry, I'm on a real hating men run right now. So I'm gonna try not to let that bleed into this episode, but I'm very frustrated, as I'm sure many of you are also frustrated with the state of men in this world right now. But sorry, I'm trying to reel it back in. Okay, so when we talk about the masculine versus the feminine, the masculine is chase, push, systems, strategies, da 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 da, and the feminine is a little bit more tune in, connect, understand, reflect, take a step back, really just getting to know who we are, what we're dealing with, evaluating all of that before taking action, right? And so I think woo-woo kind of lands a little bit more in that feminine energy territory. And so I think a lot of people mistakenly think that feminine energy means that we can't be fucking taking action and we can't be fucking getting shit done and we can't be fucking achieving amazing things, which we totally can and we do. And so, yeah, in terms of woo-woo-ness, which also is astrology applicable, I really do think that we can be tapping into that feminine energy a little bit more. There's so much more beyond systems and strategies and platforms and to tap into. And I think if we're going to think about it in like, oh, I just use platforms and tools, that's what I want to know when I learn about business. I think being woo woo is a tool. I think a lot of the things I'm going to talk about in this episode are very incredible tools that I've used, tools that I've learned from coaches, tools that I know work because they have worked not only for me, but for people that I've learned it from, for people that I follow. And so when we talk about like, what is there beyond systems and strategies and that kind of thing to tap into when we talk about business and we talk about business growth, we've talked about mindset a little bit on this podcast, the mindset work, the inner work that it takes to rewire some of these notions that we have about productivity, about success, about accomplishments, about what we're capable of, about our belief in ourselves, that kind of thing. And then also strengthening those neural pathways. This isn't just woo. Neural pathways are legitimate science, right? Neural pathways are, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to do a very crude sort of definition. But essentially, it's those thoughts that we repeat to ourselves. Every time we repeat, and this is, I think, how my therapist explained it to me. Every time we repeat a thought, our mind goes on a specific path, right? I'm not good enough. And if we keep thinking, I'm not good enough, like when the first time you go to a friend's house, right? You're like, okay, I got to use my Google Maps. I got to use whatever to find my way there. So you use that. And then the second time you're like, okay, like feels a little familiar. I kind of know, I think I turn right after I see this building. And then I think I turn left when I see this tree, whatever, right? So you're getting more familiar. And then eventually 5, 10, whatever, however many times, you don't need maps. You don't need any landmarks. You know exactly where to go, right? To get to your friend's house. Now, this is very similar to how pathways work in our brain. If we continue to have the same thought over and over and over again, our brain is like, I know how to get there. I don't need a map. I don't need someone to tell me how to get there. I know how to get there very, very easily because I have strengthened. I've gone on this path so many times. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Da 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 da. Right? But our brains, we can actively stop those thoughts. We actually can tell our brains literally whatever we want to tell our brains. It just, unfortunately, societally, whatever it is, we've been conditioned to, like, especially as women, tell our brains negative things. I'm too fat. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not good enough, whatever it is, right? And the thing is, you can actually stop. You can say, no, stop. Don't. I am good enough. I am enough. And you can actually say those things over and over again. So this is actually a little less woo and a little more like real science, but it's a part of the woo. It's a part of what we're talking about. These are the mechanisms. There's actually a lot of the mechanisms are rooted in science, but like the execution feels a little more woo, feels a little less sciencey. It feels a little more like, oh, you're just using your thoughts and you're just using like your feelings. That doesn't feel sciencey, but it is. And when we talk about our gut feeling, our gut instinct, we're talking about our intuition, right? It's going internal, it's going inside ourselves rather than looking externally for the validation, looking externally for someone to tell us what to do, what next step to take, right? And so when we talk about woo woo, we are talking about some of these, tarot cards and divination and some of the things that feel like, oh my God, like that's not the vessel that I want to be, conducting my neural pathway strengthening or tapping into my intuition or working on my mindset. Like that's not the container that I want to be using, and that's okay. You can find other containers that work for you, right? But at the end of the day, truly at the root, at the core of what we're doing with all these woo-woo practices is we're tapping into that inner work. We're tapping into that mindset work. We're tapping into the neural pathways, the intuition, the self-worth, right? Building the self-trust, building the self-actualization, and taking those steps to move past imposter syndrome, to move past this idea that like, we don't know what we're doing or, whatever it is, and to start to trust ourselves and to know that we know what we're doing, right? There are so many reasons to lean into the woo woo side of business. Self discovery, first of all. I think a lot of these tools give us the ability to understand ourselves a little bit better. For example, like with our human design or our Enneagrams. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't really like personality tests. I don't really like my chart. I don't like astrology because it's very surface level. Everyone says, like, oh, da 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 da, you're a Scorpio, so you must be like this. Oh, you're like that? Oh, yeah, you're a Cancer. I could see that. Da 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 da. And it's like, yes, sometimes I think we can take it to a place where it's very surface level with horoscopes and things like that. It's supposed to cater to a lot of people, right? Not just to you as an individual. And so it does end up being a little more of a generalization than anything else. But when we dig into our birth charts, when we dig into not just our sun sign and our moon sign and our rising, but like where the planets were transiting when we were born, how things are interacting, not only with what's going on with the planets now, but also within ourselves, right? I maybe have lost some of you already. We'll talk a little bit more about astrology in just a second. The point I'm trying to make is that with astrology, with human design, with some of these things that are giving us a better understanding of who we are, right? Again, take what resonates with you and don't take what doesn't. I know a lot of people out there, especially the people who don't believe in astrology, but maybe do believe in human design or maybe do believe in, Myers-Briggs or whatever it is. They're like, oh, well, it's because I don't think I'm XYZ characteristic about my sun sign, right? And it's like, sure, maybe you don't feel that way, but there might be other elements that you do resonate with. Not everything applies to everyone. So again, take what you're like, oh yeah, maybe that kind of does sound like me, that kind of does fit, and take those things, but leave anything that you're like, that's not me. Or maybe it's something that you're not really willing to admit about yourself just yet, or maybe willing to accept that may be a quality of yours. But truly, if it's not something that resonates with you, don't take it. You don't have to take it. And that applies to anything I say on this podcast, but it also applies to any woo woo thing in general. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Okay. So I think one of the really wonderful reasons to lean into the woo side of your business is to be able to understand yourself a little bit better and have that self discovery. Another great reason is to build your confidence in your decision making, right? When you tap into listening to your gut, listening to your intuition versus your ego versus what your very loud brain is trying to tell you, your mind is and your ego is trying to tell you what you should think and how you should feel and what you should do, versus tapping into that like inner knowing, that very quiet, like, oh yeah, that's what I should do, right? Tapping into our inner wisdom, tapping into ourselves. When I really truly started to lean into the woo side of my business, I've gotten so much more confident in my decision making. I mentioned in a previous episode, I work with Jordine from Healing to Grow. She literally helped me so much in tapping into my psychic abilities, my intuition, and understanding what it was that the universe was trying to tell me and the messages I was receiving from my spirit guides and my ancestors and things like that. So I want to encourage you to think about woo woo as a tool for self discovery, for confidence and decision making skills, for reducing your stress, for finding inner peace, right? Getting coping mechanisms, somatic practices, meditations, deep breathing, breath work, that kind of thing. These are all wonderful things to help reduce our stress and help us find a little bit more of that inner peace, right? Also, something you can really get if you lean into the woo woo side of your business is this performance optimization, right? It's almost like biohacking your spirit, biohacking your sense of self, biohacking who you are, and getting into motivation, tapping into productivity, tapping into focus, right? And utilizing these tools of understanding your energetic alignment and understanding how you exist in the world, how you exist in the universe among the stars and everything like that. It actually helps with your performance mindset and your performance optimization, because it helps you sometimes. And I know some people, the skeptics, I'm going to speak to you right now. It can help you, even if it's a placebo. Truly, even if it's just a placebo, it does help you feel like, okay, you know what? I'm not feeling very motivated right now. I'm not feeling like I want to be doing any of the work. So maybe I'm going to rest a little bit. I'm going to recharge. Maybe I'll do a little bit of a meditation and I'll come back with more renewed energy, right? even if it is a placebo, that shit does work. Okay. I will tell you that. And so I know that there are skeptics out there. I know that there are people who are going to be like, I don't think this is for me. And that's okay if it's not for you. But I really would like to encourage you to open up your minds a little bit for this episode as I dig in to some of these tools that I've been using. And I tell you this because it has worked for me. Okay, every single episode that I write, all of these outlines that I write about what I'm going to talk about, it is truly coming from my own personal experience. And I don't want to ever promote anything that I've never tried myself. I don't want to promote anything that I don't personally believe in. And so I'm telling you now that these things that I'm about to talk to you about have actually worked for me. And I really want them to work for you as well, if that's something that you choose to do. So let's get into it. Okay, I want to give you some little stats before we dig into some of the tools specifically that I have used that I want to talk about. From Pew Research Center, I've found a couple of stats for y'all. So, when it comes to astrology, women aged like 18 to 49, 43% of them believe in astrology. Now, 50 and above, that number drops to 27% of women. But it's clear to see a lot of women believe in the power of astrology. Similarly, 13% of women who were in this sort of research study said that they consult astrology, they consult tarot cards, fortune tellers, other spiritual beings for helpful insights. Okay, I am one of those 13%. Your girl does do that. 31% of those women in the Pew Research Center study said that they believe objects such as crystals, jewels, or stones can have spirits or spiritual energy inside of them. We'll talk about that in just a second as well. And again, same study, 69% of those women believe in at least one of the following: psychics, astrology, reincarnation, or that spiritual energy can be located in physical things like crystals. YouGov also did a study where they found that 15% of women who have received spiritual guidance from a guru or a shaman gone on and implemented that spiritual guidance. That's awesome. I love to hear that. Also, 18% of women believe that energetic or vibrational healing is real and that psychic readings are also real. Now, again, you don't have to believe in any of this, but I just want to say out there, for those of you who are in that percentage, I see you, I hear you. I love that we're using all of these tools, all of these potentially expansive practices to help us and to support us in our business journeys. The first thing I want to talk about, of course, is astrology. I mean, astrology is, I think, one of the first things people think of when they think of woo-woo, right? When they think of the more woo part and aspect of business. But as I said earlier, I want to focus on the fact that it's not just about your sun sign. It's not just about if you're a Scorpio or if you're a Libra or if you're an Aquarius. And it's not even about the big three either: your sun, your moon, and your rising. It's about your whole birth chart. Your whole birth chart, which I still can't fully read because I'm not super familiar with exactly how to navigate a birth chart, but it gives you a lot of clarity, not only about who you are, but where currently right now and projected coming up, where the planets and stars currently sit, right? And how that affects you right now, depending on where you sit, right? In this like universe, in this astrological makeup, okay, of the history of time, of the history of our lives, of all of it, current, now, past, present, future, right? And so we can use the way that the planets and the stars are projected to move to understand, okay, this is going to be happening at this time. This is what's going to be happening in your chart at this time. Let's see how those energies are all going to interact with each other. And I know a lot of people out there are like, there's no way that that shit is real. It is not real. Astrology is not real. Okay, that's okay if you want to feel that way. We are all stardust. Like, if you want to break it all the way down molecularly, all the way down, we are just stardust. Yes, we happen to take human form and we happen to live on planets with, water and whatever, but we're all just stardust. And if stardust doesn't interact with stardust, What does it interact with, right? And so I believe that when we literally just exist on the planet as we're existing in our solar system, in our galaxy, and then ultimately in our universe, there's a push and a pull. There's an alignment and an attraction and a repulsion, and all of it is balanced. All of it is sort of happening. And I think having our birth chart and understanding where we exist and where we sit in the context of all of this, because truly at the end of the day, space and time are not real, right? It just helps us understand a little bit better what's going on and a little bit about where we exist in what's going on. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the astrology and everything like that. I'm not going to explain all of these astrological concepts or anything, but I do want to talk a little bit about how I have used astrology in my business as well. We talk about signs, we talk about our sun sign, our moon sign, our Venus, our Mercury, all of that. We talk about our houses, we talk about planets, we talk about how they intersect with each other, how they interact with each other, how they move, right? So, like, for example, I know a lot of you have heard about Mercury retrograde. And I know I personally don't believe in using it as a cop out for things that kind of are our own fault, not really the fault of the stars or the fault of where Mercury's presenting the way that it's turning. So I know I said Mercury weird just now. I don't really know. Is it Mercury or Mercury? I don't really know. I'm probably gonna say both as we get through the episode, so I apologize if it like grates some of your ears. But essentially, Mercury is the planet of how we communicate, right? And so when it goes into retrograde, which is essentially when it looks like it's spinning backwards, it's not actually spinning backwards, but it looks like it's spinning backwards. That's when shit starts to go haywire, right? Communication is off, our telecom communications, our phones, our computers. I mean, and during this, we're currently in a Mercury retrograde right now as I'm recording this. And literally, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days ago, my computer fucking crapped out on me. So it is currently in the repair shop, which is why I don't have my own computer for 2 or 3 weeks now. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that when we think about this happening and we're thinking about, okay, Mercury's the planet of like how we communicate, it does give us a lot of information, right? If we look at the sign, what our sign in Mercury is, it's going to tell us, okay, like, oh yeah, that is a little bit more about how I communicate. I believe my Mercury is in Libra. I'll have to double check that. But that tells me, like, okay, when I'm dealing with someone, this is how I'm going to present, right? Let me be aware of that. I also, during Mercury retrograde, it's one of those things where they say, like, don't sign any contracts. Don't enter into a partnership, don't embark on a new journey, don't embark on a new project. So I personally, during a Mercury retrograde, I try not to sign contracts. And during other retrogrades, because other planets can retrograde as well, as in look as though they're spinning backwards when they're not. But that does affect sort of what's going on, right, in our planetary existence. And so I personally try not to sign contracts or start any new projects or do anything where we're like embarking on a new journey or on a new path during Mercury retrograde. Again, I don't believe in blaming our problems. Like, I don't believe in like, oh my God, like I was so late today. Oh, Mercury retrograde. Or like, oh my God, like I really didn't do well in that presentation. Like, oh, it must be Mercury retrograde or, whatever it is. But I do want to be careful, right? So I'm like, just like, let's be a little careful about when we time the signing of our contracts and those kinds of things. Obviously, some of those things can be out of our control because Mercury can retrograde for weeks at a time. And there's like an onset and a cool off period, which also is affected. So sometimes you're like, I can't wait 3 or 4 weeks for this fucking planet to stop retrograding so I could sign this damn contract. But it's just one of those things that I apply to my business because I'm like, I just want to be careful and, I just want to be aware. I also like to get like a year ahead reading, either at the beginning of the year or the end of the year. I like to say, okay, here I really would like to understand what's going on in my chart, right? And where the planets are transiting month to month, how the planets are going to look, how my chart's going to look from month to month. So I can be on the lookout for anything, right? If there are going to be shady characters or whatever it is. I remember, I think it was last year. Was it last year or the year before that? I did get a year ahead reading, and they said specifically, they were like, September, a charismatic man will try to sell you really hard on something. Okay. You need to not fall for it. You need to distance yourself. Do not embark on anything with this man. Do not buy anything that he's trying to sell you. And lo and behold, September came around and I was like, charismatic men, stay the fuck away from me. Don't try to convince me to sell anything. And again, man came into my life. He was trying to sell that shit so hard. And I was like, I know I was warned about you. So I know not to say yes. Even though part of me was like, kind of want to say yes. I kind of want to buy what he's selling. But I knew I had that awareness. I had that year ahead reading to help me understand that, okay, the planets are moving in this way. Your chart moves in this way. Let's make sure that you are not undertaking things that are not going to benefit you, that are going to hurt you instead, you know? So those are things that I like to do. I like to be aware of. Obviously, I'm not going to go ask my clients for their birth chart or anything like that. You know, I'm not going to be like, what time were you born? And also what city specifically. But if anybody out there asks you for your time of birth, your specific time of birth, your date of birth and where you were born, they're trying to get your birth chart. Okay. Just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. But yeah, I'm not going around asking my clients or anything that information, but I am understanding how I exist and what I need to be aware of, what I am going to have to prepare for essentially upcoming. And I like to use that tool to adjust my strategy, to adjust. Again, it's like it does fold into strategy, it does fold into systems, but it's just kind of the way in which we get to that is a little different from the quote unquote traditional way. But I love it. I love having this information. I also think, especially as people who have periods and we're thinking about like cycle syncing and things like that, our bodies are on a 28-day cycle. All of us who have periods, our bodies are on the same 28-day cycle as the moon. Okay, the moon is on a 28-day cycle, so are we. So, understanding how our bodies work. If you believe in cycle syncing, I firmly believe you should also believe in astrology, right? Because it's a very similar concept. Our bodies are changing and going through a set cycle every single 28 days. So is the moon, right? And so understanding that we are really created, right, from the universe, from nature, from all of these concepts that mirror in our bodies the way they mirror in nature, which I think is just more evidence that the shit is real, okay? All right. Divination tools, things like tarot cards, divination cards, angel cards, crystals, that kind of thing. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. So, crystals, for those of you that don't know, actually, funny side story. When I was growing up, we had crystals all over the house. We had this huge slab of amethyst in our dining room. Maybe I'll take a picture and show all of you. I don't have it right here. It's like over behind me. But we had this like beautiful selenite, huge rock slab. We had a huge clear quartz like ball. We just had so many crystals all over the house. And I never really like understood anything about it. My mom never talked about it. They just existed in the house. And I just never, I was like, oh, decor, you know, whatever. And then when I grew up and I learned a little bit more about crystals and astrology, I was like, oh shit, my mom was woo. And I had no idea. Like, she really incorporated crystals into our home. And I had no idea. I didn't even realize it. But crystals can embody the energy of a lot of different things, right? So, for example, like a rose quartz, it's pink, it's beautiful, and it symbolizes love. It embodies love. Like citrine, you know, that embodies, I believe, like clearing out, clarity. I know selenite definitely is a good cleanser and it helps with protection and that kind of thing. So there are a lot of different crystals that have different purposes. They embody different energies. So like abundance, love, protection, joy, vitality, healing, cleansing, you know, whatever it is. And it can help connect you with more downloads, right? So you can connect with a crystal and you can literally ask it a question like, what do I need to be on the lookout for today? Or what's something I need to hear today? And your crystal will talk to you and speak to you. Again, I know some people are like, that's not real. It's you're just making it up in your head, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, honestly, I have, through my work with Jordine, I have actually held crystals, two crystals in my hand and been like, holy shit, there is an energetic difference in what I'm feeling with this one than what I'm feeling with this one. I personally don't know a lot about exactly what purpose each crystal is for, but what I really like is when I don't know what the preconceived notions about what that specific crystal can do for you or what energy embodies. I have held two crystals that I don't know anything about in my hand and been like, oh shit, this one feels like a little bit lighter and freer and whimsical, and this one feels a little bit like more intense and moody and like very protective. I have actually felt those different energies, and I know a lot of people are like, that's not real, you just made that up in your head. And I'm like, you can believe what you want, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, because that shit resonates with me. Okay, So I love to like take crystals. I like to bathe them in the moon, and I like to sort of leave them out on my table so that it kind of helps me embody that energy, especially during my moon rituals, which we will get into in just a second. Now, what about tarot cards? What about angel cards and oracle cards? Well, I don't think they're necessarily like fortune telling tools. Like, I don't think they're to tell the future or anything like that. I mean, some people believe that, and that's totally fine. For me personally, tarot cards are more of a like communication tool, right? It's for me to ask my ancestors, ask my mom, ask whoever to show me what I need to be looking out for, to show me the answers to the questions that I have, right? And honestly, in my experience, when we think about like a 52 card deck, right, there are millions of different possible combinations, right? I think more than millions, billions. I don't know the exact number, but there are so many possibilities for possible combinations of cards flying out. And so the probability of the exact cards that are going to read you to absolute fucking filth, to tap into things that you're like, how did I have never told anybody that? Like, but again, the universe is listening and the universe knows. The probability of those exact cards flying out in that exact order, in that way, is so extremely low. There are so many times where I will be pulling cards and I'm just like, how the fuck did those three specific cards fly out in that way, in that fucking specific order? If it happened once in my life, okay, maybe I'm like, that's a blip. But the fact that it's almost every time I pull my fucking cards out, not even almost, I think every time I pull my cards out, there's something about it that I'm like, oh, fuck. How the fuck did they know that? So I'm like, you can't tell me that shit is not real because I have experienced it. I know math. I'm too lazy to actually do the calculations, but I know math well enough to know that the probability of those cards flying out that many times that I fucking pulled tarot cards or had tarot cards pulled for me, it's so low. It's so low. You can't tell me that shit is not real. I will, when I pull tarot cards specifically for my business, I'll ask it about my business. I'll ask the cards about my business. What should I be looking out for? How am I showing up? What should I be considering? How should I show up moving forward? Those are things that'll help, again, give you a direction or be aware of something. I know people are going to listen to this and be like, or you could just evaluate how you're showing up yourself, do some journaling or whatever it is, like if that's what you want to do, if you want to think about things you should be considering or whatever it is, like how you should be showing up moving forward, maybe you should do that evaluation on your own internally. Yes, you should be doing that as well. I agree. But also, this is a tool that I think can help you sometimes see a message or something that you might not have come up with on your own, right? That you are like, oh, I saw this and now I'm going to interpret it in this way to understand how it applies to my life, right? Because ultimately, it's about how you interpret it. Like I said before, it's about what resonates with you and what doesn't. So you take what resonates with you and you leave what doesn't, right? And if we're going to be doing that and we're going to be channeling spirit and we're going to be channeling our other guides through our cards, it does help us at the very least find a direction, find somewhere to start. And sometimes I really like to use those tarot cards when I'm in a situation where I'm like, and I know a lot of you have been in this situation before too, where you're like, I need to ask someone something. And so many of you, instead of going to your fucking cards, you go to fucking AI, you go to ChatGPT, you go to Claude, you go to wherever, and you ask that what you should do when you should be fucking asking your crystals, when you should be fucking asking your cards, because those are going to give you way more things to work with that are going to be more accurate. I'm going to be totally honest. I truly believe we're going to be more accurate, less wasteful in the environment, and less fucking AI slop ridden, that you should use your tarot cards instead. Okay? So I feel like the slogan should be, instead of using AI, ask your tarot cards. That's what I believe. And I love to harness the power of the moon. Okay. I love to do a new moon ritual and a full moon ritual. Again, we're on a 28-day cycle. So the new moon happens, and then 14 days later, the full moon happens, right? And then we go through another 2 weeks of waxing and waning the moon, respectively, before we get back to another new moon and another full moon, et cetera, et cetera. So what I like to do, and this is something that I learned from Kristen Williams, shout out to you, is to set intentions on the new moon. So on a new moon, and again, it can happen the day of the new moon or the time of the new moon, and it sometimes the energy happens. I want to say it's at least like 2 days before and 2 days after, maybe even 3 days before, 3 days after. You can still do this. If you miss it on the day of the new moon itself, the energy of the intention setting is still there. So I like to write down what I want to achieve in my business, right? I like to get specific about what I'm asking for. And I emphasize that very intentionally, okay? I like to get specific about, okay, I would like, to make six figures, right? Or I would like to make seven figures. I would like to sell my first $25,000 package or, whatever it is, right? I'm going to get specific about the what, but I'm not going to get specific about the how. Because again, the how is up to the universe. The how is how the universe is going to deliver it to you. That is not for you to worry about. Okay. That is not for you to decide how. Because a lot of the time, how and how we want it to happen is our ego, right? It's our ego telling us if it were to happen this way, it would be the best, or, whatever. Sometimes I don't even get super specific about the when either. How and when, it's the universe. The universe will decide how it's delivered and they'll decide when, because they know when you're going to be ready for it, essentially, right? And so when I set an intention, I don't necessarily say like, I'm going to make six figures in the next 6 months, or whatever it is. I will say, I am going to make six figures. And sometimes I want to say, like, I want to make six figures in one single month. Great. That is a little bit of a when in there. Again, they're not rules, really. This is kind of just like what I've been taught about setting intention and speaking what I want to the universe. But I will say, I want to have three long-term ongoing clients, right? But I'm not really going to say like, I'm going to find them in the next month. I'm going to find them by the end of the year. I really am just saying what it is that I want, and I'm letting the how and the when be up to the universe, because that is me indicating that I trust the universe. I trust the universe to deliver it. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to set the intention. I'm going to take the action that I need to take to get it done. But I'm also going to trust the universe to deliver what it is that I'm asking for. And what I'll do is I'll set these intentions on the new moon. I'll write them all out. I usually write about like 10. And then I will read them out loud to the moon every single night. Well, I'll try to, as much as I can, every single night, all the way from the new moon. When I set the intention, every single night, as many nights as I can, all the way until the full moon. And then on the full moon, I take that piece of paper, which I wrote all my intentions down, I speak it one more time to the universe, and then I burn it. I like tear it up and I put it in my one piece at a time into my ashtray. So it's very safe. Nothing's ever burnt down. Again, you don't have to burn it. You can also just like rip it up and throw it away, or you can write it in a notes app and delete it, whatever it is. But I burn it so that I release it to the universe. I say, hey, universe, I trust you to deliver what it is I'm asking for, what I've spoken to you about, and the intention that I've set. And I say, okay, now it's up to you. I'm going to take the actions that I need to take. I'm going to go look for more clients. I'm going to go do what I need to do to make the money that I'm asking for from you. But I'm also, however it is you want to deliver it to me, whatever client you want to fucking land in my lap, please make sure they have money, right? That's kind of the message that we're sending to the universe. Now, with a lot of these moon rituals and things like that, there are different zodiac seasons. So there are different cycles of the zodiac. So I'm going to have different intentions maybe for Scorpio new moon than an Aquarius new moon, or a Taurus full moon versus a Cancer full moon, right? I'm going to have sort of a different energy maybe and a different intention or a theme or, whatever it is that I'm going to come with for the different cycles and the different seasons, because we want to be harnessing the energy of where the universe is. Again, we're going to meet someone where they're at and we're going to meet the universe where they're at. Let's go ahead and set intentions appropriate for that season specifically. I also like to use candles. And so there are a lot of like crystal shops and things like that, right? Shops that sell like crystals and candles and other divination tools and cards. And I like to go to those stores and I like to buy candles with like specific intentions. So, like abundance, prosperity, protection. Usually, like a green candle to me will indicate money and abundance, right? I also like having a white candle for the full moon and a black candle for the new moon because it's like the waxing and the waning of the moon and what we're seeing in the sky and those kinds of things. So, I like to get the candles that are appropriate for the intentions that I'm setting for the ritual that I'm about to embark on. And I like to use crystals to amplify, again, those same intentions, the themes of Scorpio season or the themes of Aries season or, whatever it is. And so, yeah, I like to use those tools as well. I also like to make sure every time after I speak it to the moon, I also like to like pull some cards, maybe specifically about the questions that I have with the intentions that I set or just something that's going on in my life currently. I also like to journal about the cards that I pulled, about the intentions that I set, and really ground in what it is that I'm asking for. I like to do that to harness the power of the moon and harness the power of the universe because it's like, real or not, why not use that tool just in case it is real? You know what I mean? And I really think that it could be a placebo, but if that fucking placebo works, it works. You know what I mean? Like, let's not discount the tools that we have if it works. And for me, that shit has worked. I do also want to talk and touch a little bit on manifesting and mindset because I know out there we talk about like the secret and the power of the mind and everything like that. But I really do want to emphasize that, like, our mind, I said this earlier in this episode, but like our minds are so powerful. You can literally tell your brain anything you want to tell it, anything you want to tell it. And I think there's so much power in strengthening those neural pathways, right? In believing in ourselves, in saying, okay, I know I can do this. I know I can do this. I know I can do this. And saying that over and over again and believing, truly believing it to the point where we're, again, even if all we're doing is faking it till we make it, I do think that like we're still doing the mechanism of building and strengthening that neural pathway. Even if it's like, oh, I'm doing this ironically or whatever. Like your brain doesn't really know that you're doing it ironically. It just hears you saying it over and over again, which ends up strengthening it. And then down the line, you're like, I know I fucking can do this. I know I can fucking do this because I've said that to myself. I've repeated to myself. I've strengthened that neural pathway. And really, again, it's not about just saying it, right? When we're talking about manifestation and we're talking about calling in the things, what was that quote? I can't remember what it is, but it's something like, oh, manifestation is for white women. It's literally just privilege. The things that you're calling in, you call in because you're privileged. And it's like, sure, some things that are called in because you have the privilege and you have the access, and you have the tools and you have, whatever else it is that you need to call that shit in. But also, manifestation, there's so many ways to harness it and there's so much you can do with it. It's not about just saying it out loud and being like, come to me, it will it's on its way. Part of it is that, but also you do need to follow up your intention with action, right? You need to follow up the manifestation with action. You need to show the universe that you're serious about what you're calling in, that you're like, I'm not just asking this because I can ask this, I'm asking it because I want it and I'm willing to do the work, do what it needs to get me there. You're telling the universe what you want to achieve in your business. You're saying it out loud, okay? You're speaking it and you're saying, this is what I want to achieve in my business. But you don't just say it. You have to also start taking the steps to show the universe that you're ready to work for it. Because if you do that, if you actually follow up what you're manifesting, what you're saying out loud with action, it will get delivered to you so much faster, okay? So I know some of you are out there are like, I said it out and nothing happened. It's because you didn't follow it up with anything and you didn't show the universe that you were serious about what it is that you're asking for, okay? I also want to talk a little bit about energetic alignment. I know I referenced human design a little bit earlier. I love human design. I'm not going to break it down fully. I'm sure there are much better people who can talk about the power of human design and what it's great for. But essentially, human design, it also depends on your birth time and where you were born, but it tells you a little bit more about your energy type, right? So there are generators, there are manifestors, there are manifesting generators, there are projectors and reflectors. I believe, is there another one that I'm not thinking of? I don't know. I apologize if I'm not including the one that you are. But essentially, these energy types, it tells you about what's going to drain you and what's going to bring you energy, right? Human design is such a great way to understand yourself and help determine like how you're going to show up to things. Again, some people might be like, well, you should know that. You should know that about yourself already. But the thing is when I learned about my human design and I learned that I was a generator and that only things that lit me up would give me the energy to work on it endlessly versus things that drain me, I'm immediately like, I have no energy for it, right? So for me as a generator, and I'm sure many generators out there, it was very eye-opening to learn that like, sure, maybe I could have gotten to this conclusion on my own, but like having this tool to like shed the light for me was so helpful. Like I really understood, okay, that's why I can spend fucking 10 hours researching where this actor went to school and what they did and all the things because I'm like, I'm curious and I'm nosy, versus like something like, oh, this person asked me to put a report together on this person and they don't excite me. I don't care. I could quite literally spend 10 times more hours on this person that I'm interested in, that lights me up, that gets me excited to learn about them versus someone I don't really care about. That shit's going to drain me. My energy is going to get depleted real fast. It does help me understand how I'm going to move through my life. It's going to give me more clarity about like, oh, this is why I'm able to like put 8 hours behind this project versus 5 minutes into this one. I don't fucking want to be here. And so that helps me understand as a generator, like, okay, what is it that I'm tapping into, right? What is it that is explaining why I'm showing up the way I'm showing up? It helps us listen to our bodies a little bit more. If I'm going to be completely honest, I hesitate to say this because I'm like, I don't want to make a whole blanket statement or anything like that. But I'm like, if I'm going to have a goal for this podcast, for the things that I do, the things that I share, I think one of them is truly going to be like, we got to listen to our bodies more. We have to listen to our bodies more and understand the physicality of what's going on. And I really do think human design is such a great way for us to tap into the physicality, to tap into how our energy shows up and how we can understand our movement through the world through that energetic alignment, right? So like, I don't even think it's that woo. I think it's really just tuning into our physical beings and what our body is trying to tell us. Like, for example, I've talked about this before. I talked about this in the Cubicle to CEO episode. When we force ourselves to work, right? When our energy isn't there and we're forcing ourselves to work, it doesn't actually save us time. It doesn't actually make us more productive. We are quite literally forcing ourselves to go against what we want to be doing energetically. And then the work isn't as high quality, right? The work suffers, our own ego suffers. It doesn't save us time. It doesn't actually make us more productive. And so understanding that about ourselves of like, okay, in this setting, I'm going to show up this way. In this setting, I'm going to show up this. It's just more information, in my opinion, about who we are and things that we can be on the lookout for and aware of, right? And I do think that human design is so wonderful because there's so much about it that I still have yet to explore. But what I love is that it kind of tells us our inner selves and our outer selves. I think I'm explaining it kind of correctly. I apologize. I'm going to bring on a human design expert to like actually explain this to you really well. But for me, I'm a 2-4 generator, right? So my 2 is me, who I am. It's the hermit. I love to isolate. I love to be by myself. And then the 4 is my community. I do also love to tap into community. I love to be in community with people, to be connecting with them, for us to be supporting each other, that kind of thing. And so I'm really still trying to understand the 2 and the 4, what it is, how I balance the 2, how I'm going to show up. I mean, the 2 I've got fucking down. I know how to isolate. I know how to be on my own. I know how to do. But the community part, the 4, is what I'm trying to understand a little bit more about. Like, how can I show up? How can I be my great, big, wonderful, beautiful self? I know this episode is going a little long. I apologize. I know I keep trying to say I'm trying to keep it short, but I just have so much to say. I have so much to share with all of you. Maybe I do need to start like splitting these up into two-part two-part episodes or something like that. But yeah, I also want to talk pretty quickly, hopefully, about some of the tools that I like to use to call in more wealth and abundance. Again, a lot of these things I actually learned from Jillian Minter. So I highly recommend all of you go Quantum Wealth Academy, learn these things, and actually implement them. Visualization. I really love visualization. So, for example, Jillian has a money thermostat tracker, which essentially is if you want to be making this much, or if you want this much in your bank account and this is what you currently have, let's go ahead and just increase that number so that we're not jumping from I have $1,000 in my account, I want $1,000,000 in my account, right? We have to get our body used to these larger capacities for wealth. And so I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to visualize $1,000,000 in my bank account when I only have 1,000. I'm going to maybe visualize 2,000, right? And then when I get comfortable with seeing 2,000 visually in my bank account, I'm going to go for like maybe 5,000, right? And then maybe I'm going to go for 8 or 10,000 or whatever it is, all the way up until I build to 1,000,000. And then I'm like, I have the capacity to imagine myself. I can see myself with that $1,000,000. I see that in my bank account, right? That's kind of what we're thinking about when we're thinking about visualization. We're getting our physical body used to handling, seeing, and holding and receiving these big, big amounts of money. Another great tool I really love that I also learned from Jillian is the EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique, right? For those of you that know, it's based on meridian points that are similar to acupuncture. And essentially, it aims to restore our body's energetic balance, right? It aims to relieve those negative emotions. What I also really love about it, because as you do EFT, essentially you're repeating, I love money and money loves me. I love money and money loves me. And you're doing these things while you're tapping through your meridian points. And not only is it, tapping into the physicality of your body, but you're also still strengthening that neural pathway, right? You're strengthening that thought of repeating, I love money and money loves me. That was one of the reasons why I love EFT tapping, because at the end of the day, if you don't believe in the whole meridian stuff, you can believe in the neural pathways, okay? That is doctor science. Another one that I really love that I think has been pretty popular on social media is this concept of the abundance frequency, right? So for those of you that have seen people saying like, oh, you should have a little dance party and play the song Ring My Bell, right? Because ring my bell, ring my bell, you know that song. It has a frequency that helps call in abundance, right? I mean, really, it's any song that makes you feel good. It's any song that gives you the emotions that you want to feel when you're wealthy. So for me, I love, love, love just any song that, like, not just Ring My Bell, but any song that makes me feel like a fucking badass. Any song that makes me feel like I got this shit. We are the champions. All I do is win, whatever it is. That abundance, it gets me to tap into this frequency where I'm like, hell yeah, let's fucking go, bum schla. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do. And when we dance to the whole song and we really like let it move our bodies and live in our bodies, this energetic exchange, I think it's such a beautiful thing, and I highly encourage all of you to do it. I also really like just doing a simple gratitude practice, right? It helps you start seeing more things around you that are going well. And when you start to see more things around you go well, you're like, oh my gosh, this is proof. This is proof that the universe is looking out for me, that good things can happen to me. I currently have been doing a daily gratitude practice for a little over 220 days. I believe I'm on like day 225 or something like that. So almost a full year. We're getting to a full year of doing this. But essentially, every day I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. And I try my best not to repeat any past gratitude things that I wrote down for past days. And I've really noticed that I've started to like see the little things that are going well. The big things are obviously easy to see, but it's like the little things, the everyday things, like the lights turning green right when I reach the crosswalk, right? So I don't have to wait for any red lights, or when I get to the self checkout and like it's super busy, but like a spot opens up right as I walk up, or like I got the last cookie at the bakery. It's the last gluten-free cookie and I got it, or I get extra nigiri at omakase and like nobody else got it, but I did. Or I got the one English speaking receptionist at the hospital and it definitely made my life a lot easier, even though your girl needs to fucking learn Portuguese, which we're working on. I will work on that. But, getting the one English speaking receptionist to make my life a little easier, that was one of the things I wrote down in my gratitude practice, because I was like, I'm so grateful that like that timed out the way it did. Like the universe is always listening. The universe is always listening. There are so many things that have aligned in my life to show me that the universe is listening, that the universe is paying attention. Like, for example, again, I'll never fucking shut up about this, but like the house closing the same day that the visa got approved, right? My house closed the same day I got my visa. Fucking crazy. I got my residency card 2.5 weeks after I applied for it, which is unheard of, totally unprecedented. Those are signs to me that the universe is like, okay, these decisions that you're making are aligned. This green light to move forward. And then I get things on the flip end, right? Like on my literal anniversary, my literal 1 year anniversary of arriving in Lisbon, my house got burglarized, or my apartment got burglarized, right? And that is an indication to me. I mean, I didn't take it as a like, you need to move, you need to not be here anymore. I took it as a, we tried to teach you this lesson about locking your fucking door, you dumb bitch, and you didn't listen. So exactly 1 year after you learned it the first time, and you didn't actually learn it because your cat got out, and then you only locked the door in the evenings, not when you left, blah, 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 blah. Your girl locks her door now, don't worry. We're going to teach you this lesson so you actually fucking lock your door. And just the fact that it happened exactly on my anniversary, I'm just like, oh, like you can't make this shit up. The universe is always working behind the scenes, right? I'm going to do another Good Place reference. But for those of you that remember the episode where Michael is like trying to help them escape, or, you know, whatever it is, and help them, like, I'm trying not to reveal too many spoilers, but they were like, oh, like we picked up on some of these clues that you gave us. You know, they were like, we picked up on the 4 clues that you gave us. He's like, I showed you 12,000 clues. I showed you 12,000 clues and you only picked up on 4, you know? And that's kind of how the universe is. The universe is constantly trying to give you clues and hints and information. And we, as our lowly human beings that don't have that expanded, transcendent mindsets, we only pick up on a few of those. Of the thousands of clues that the universe gives us, the signs that it sends our way, we're like, oh, I picked up on that one, you know, or whatever it is. But truly, I believe that the universe is always working in our favor, whether we think or realize it at the time or not. Usually it's like hindsight. You're like, oh yeah, it was looking out for me. It didn't feel like it in the moment. It didn't feel like it when I got fucking burglarized, but I am I am happy now with the trajectory that it took me on. But I do think that there's so much power in like speaking things into existence, letting the universe hear your intentions, because it's always paying attention and it's always listening. And I think when we speak those things and we strengthen those neural pathways of like believing in ourselves, believing in what we're capable of calling in, it's such a powerful tool. Whether you believe in woo woo or not, you are strengthening a neural pathway of belief in yourself, of belief and trusting yourself. And I think that's such a powerful thing. I do want to warn you before we go. I'm almost done. I promise. I love y'all. Thank you so much for sticking around on this episode. I really am. I promise you, I'm trying to keep my episodes closer to like 35 minutes. And I know most of them have been like 50 to 60 minutes. I'm so sorry. Actually, yappers, please let me know. I would love to hear from you. This is supposed to be the conversation club, so I want to hear from you. You know, are these episode links okay? Are you like, please make them shorter? You know, in which case I'll probably break them up into like 2-part episodes. I'll be like part 1 and then part 2, you know, or whatever it is. Maybe that'll make it a little more digestible. But anyway, I just have so much to say and I have so much I want to share with all of you. But anyway, going back to my point, I do want to warn you to be a little more careful about what you wish and you ask for. Okay, that's why I like to add a little bit of that specificity in there. Because for me, for example, a few years ago, I asked for more money and I was like, I would like more money. And the universe was like, okay, great. Here, let's hit you with a semi truck. Let's have a semi truck fucking ram your car, total it, not cause you any harm, like other than a little whiplash, to give you a nice $20,000 settlement. And I was like, oh, okay, I got a little extra money. Not how I expected it to come. But again, just kind of be careful what we're asking for, the way we're asking for it. Like earlier this year, I was telling everyone who would listen, I was like, I don't have enough time to do the things I'm trying to do. I don't have time to work on the things on my business that I want to work on. And the universe was like, okay, heard. And they got rid of my biggest client, right? They got rid of my main source of income, but it was taking up a lot of my time and a lot of my mental space and energy. So, you know, it did clear enough space for me to actually have the time to work on the things that I needed to be working on or wanted to be working on. And then recently I've been asking, I want to be transported to a new timeline. I want a quantum leap. I want to embody this new version of me. And the universe is like, okay, let me clear the way for you. Let me clear the way, the old you, to make room for the new you, right? And they cleared it in a way I didn't expect, which is to have all my jewelry get stolen. And it just examples of how the universe kind of will deliver the how in a way that you don't expect, right? But ultimately it will be for the greater good of you, for the greater good of where you're trying to go and the things that you're asking for. So we made it. We made it to our homework section. This week's homework, I really would love for you to do a 7-day gratitude practice. Okay, every day I want you to write 3 things that you're grateful for. It can be big, it can be small. It can be, I'm grateful for the little ladybug that I saw. You know, I'm grateful for the weather getting a little cooler from the heat wave. I'm grateful for my brother for helping me with this errand, or, you know, whatever it is. I'm going to encourage you not to repeat yourself. Okay, so anything you wrote as gratitude on previous days, do not write it again. I want you to come up with 3 new things every single day for 7 days. And I want you to kind of evaluate, you know, if you can do more than 7 days, like if you can do a full month, I would love that. I can guarantee you, you will start to feel a tangible shift of like things that you're noticing, the things that you're paying attention to, and your natural disposition for gratitude growing when we do this gratitude practice. That's homework number 1. Homework number 2 is I would like you to pick something that I mentioned in this episode, something that felt enticing, something that you're like, I could see myself incorporating this. Okay, I want you to look into it and I want you to start thinking about incorporating it. Okay, whether it's a moon ritual, tarot card pulls, EFT tapping, human design, anything like that. I want you to take whatever it is that enticed you and I want you to think about how you're going to incorporate it. Okay. Also, yappers, I really want this to be a conversation, right? That's the whole point. I know, obviously, with a podcast, it feels more like broadcasting than a conversation, but I want to hear from you in the YouTube comments, on Instagram, DMing me, whatever it is. Like, I want to hear from you. Do you like these episodes? How are you feeling about the podcast? Are we enjoying it? What are some of the things you enjoyed about this episode? What are some of the things you're going to incorporate into your own practices? Did you like the gratitude practice, et cetera, et cetera? I want to hear from you. I want to know, are there any topics you want me to talk about? How are you feeling about the length of these episodes? Any guests you want to see on this podcast? Like, I want to hear from you. I want to know what it is you want to know. So please comment, share, let me know. I am here to receive feedback. So thank you so much, my lovely yappers, for making it through another very long episode of this podcast. I love you all so very much. I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Ciao, ciao. If this episode gave you something to think about, take it and do something with it. If you want more of this, or you just want to see what my life actually looks like, come follow me on Instagram at It's Almost with 2 L's. I'll be sure to link it in the show notes. You can also follow me at Almost Consulting for some juicier, spicier takes. And if you're serious about getting your emails to convert, you can check out the Conversion Club, our monthly email marketing membership for founders who are ready to turn email into their most profitable and sustainable sales channel. With expert guidance, plug and play tools, and strategy you'll actually use. Check it out at the link in the show notes. I'll see you in the next episode, yappers.